Hi, my name is Amanda Sheldon, and I'm responding to an honors colloquium, You Eat What You Are, by Dr. Baldridge and Dr. Rogers. First, we're going to talk about the main points of the colloquium and what I learned. The first main point is that you need to be informed about the food that you're eating. If you can't make informed choices about your food, you really have no idea what nutrients are going into your body, what needs to happen, and you can't be informed about how to be healthy. You can't make those decisions. First, you need to ask, where does my food come from? Some food travels miles and miles and miles to get to your store, to get to your table. And so a lot of companies put a lot of preservatives in their food just to make that food last till it can come to your table. If you're buying food from miles away, that's really a lot of preservatives, and it's stripping the nutrients from the food. But if you buy local, you can be assured of where it came from, what has happened to that food since it was grown in the ground or killed, and what has happened until it comes to your table. So you know exactly what's going into your body. The next question you need to ask is, how were the animals treated? If you do choose to eat meat, you need to know, were the animals treated well? Were they fed a lot of growth hormones and just fed and fed and fed until they were too fat to move? Or were they treated well and grass-fed and in free range? Because a lot of the meat industry will just treat animals like dirt, just treat them like product, and will just crank them out to satisfy American demand. Finally, you need to ask, what are the ingredients that I'm eating? If you don't know the ingredients that you're eating, you won't know the nutrition that you're getting. You won't know what you're putting in your body, and you won't be able to regulate what you need. Also, there's a ton of preservatives, extra sugar, extra salt, tons of things that companies will put into their food to make sure that it tastes just absolutely awesome so that people will buy it, when those extra added ingredients really aren't necessary and really aren't healthy for you, and they can build up over time and just make you completely unhealthy. The next point of the class is to be critical about the messages you're receiving. That's through the media, through the news, even the labels on the boxes of the food that you're buying. You need to know, what are the biases there? Even the National Food Pyramid, there's some biases because the companies that create that food pyramid are supplied by the meat industry and just different things. And so you need to know, what are the biases so that you can be critical about the messages and you can sift through the truth and the lies. You also need to know, how much processing has your food gone through. There's a lot of messages out there that say this is low sodium, low fat, it's good for you, it's healthy. But many times it can only be low fat and low sodium because of the amount of processing that has gone through. When there's that much processing, it really strips out the nutrients of your food, and it is not as good as it could be. Finally, there's a lot of bias against vegetarianism and veganism in this country because Americans love our meat. And the biggest question they ask is, where do you get your protein? They always think that the people who aren't eating meat aren't getting their protein, and it's just not correct, especially if they're making informed choices about their food. And so you need to be aware of the biases against vegetarianism and sift through them so that you can really find the truth and make an informed decision. So now that we've talked about the class, I'm going to talk about my own food history and my growing up and upbringing and how I dealt with food. First is that we always had home-cooked meals. I can remember my mom cooking meals every night, sometimes twice a day. She loves to cook and she loves to experiment with food, and that's what she would always do. And this is actually a picture of my favorite dish, homemade chicken and dumplings. It's absolutely delicious. My mom makes the dumplings. It's so good. And even though not all of her meals are this intricate, she would always create everything from scratch as much as possible just because she loved it. But another factor in my eating when I was growing up is that my father always demanded that there would be meat on the table and that it would be the main portion. He loved that meat and he loved eating it, and that's what he wanted to eat every day. And so if my mom tried to do a little vegetarian, or if she tried even just to make a pasta the main course, he would pitch a fit and he'd always want there to be meat on the table. And so we had a really meat-centered family growing up. still, even with that meat centeredness, my mom always managed to make a balanced meal. She always had veggies and fruit on the table, and would always just round out our nutrients so that we could be healthy growing up. And because of her influence, I really gravitated towards the veggies and the fruit, and I really learned to love them. And I love broccoli. It's my favorite, and asparagus, and apples are really the thing that I crave the most and what I eat the most. I probably eat an apple a day, definitely. So with my mom's influence, I really just grew up loving those veggies, loving those fruit, but we still ate meat almost every day. And I was super athletic growing up, so I was really healthy, and I really think I got the nutrients that I needed, and just made really good decisions about the food I ate. But then I got to college and the bean, and we all know about the bean. They work so hard to give us great food, great choices, and give us the nutrients and the health that we need. But still, some things about the bean just are so unappealing. And I just really noticed myself gravitating toward the fresh foods, the veggies, the salad bar, the fresh fruits, and staying away from the meats and the cooked things, because things I expected to be hot were always lukewarm, and it really didn't like that. And so I noticed myself over my freshman year especially, I would eat a salad every day for a meal, and that's just what I chose because it's what I knew would be good when I ate it. But then sophomore year, I grabbed some chicken from the bean and I took it back to my dorm to eat it. And when I bit into it, it was raw. And even though I spit it out and didn't even swallow any of it, just biting into it made me violently sick for a weekend. And I was just so sick. And ever since then, I just never ate anything that might possibly get me sick from the bean. I just couldn't risk it. And I kept thinking of how much I threw up that weekend, and I just couldn't eat anything that was cooked in the bean. Then my second semester of sophomore year, I studied abroad in Germany with ACU. And around Easter time, we spent 12 days in Turkey. Now, the thing about Turkey, this is a group. This is our little group picture when we're in Istanbul in Turkey. The thing about Turkey is that they are an extremely meat-centered society. I mean, we think America is meat-centered. Oh my goodness. Turkey is crazy about their meats. Every meal is completely meat-centered. And if you find a non-meat dish, it's a complete anomaly. We searched forever trying to find anything, even like a rice side dish or something, but they just are really super focused on their meats. And I have to say, eating that meat for 12 days in Turkey got me so sick. Just from not eating so much meat the past 2 years and then eating it for every meal for 12 days, I was wrecked. And my stomach and my intestines really have never been the same. Now even just eating the smallest bit of meat just makes me so sick. And so over those experiences, I've really just become vegetarian, not really because of animal rights or anything, just because that's what my body wanted. That's what I wanted to eat, and eating meat makes me sick, so I just don't do it. So nowadays, the thing that I noticed from class is that our teachers were so passionate about the choices that they made, about eating nothing that is processed or has preservatives, and really eating only plant-based foods, and just really passionate about what they chose to make and what they chose to feed their kids. And they loved just making new recipes and doing all that stuff. And I really noticed that it takes a lot of passion, it takes a lot of time to live that kind of lifestyle. And I have to say, that's not my passion. My passion is teaching. I'm going to be a math teacher, and that's what I think about all day, every day, is what I'm going to do when I finally have my classroom. And that's what I spend my time and my energy on. So even though I am vegetarian, I don't spend all the time I should just eating the most ultimate healthy things that I possibly can. And it's because I spend my time elsewhere. And so I think we as humans, we all have different passions. We all have different ideas of what we want to do, what we want to spend our time on. And so we choose to do those things. And I think if your passion is food, that is so wonderful. It's so awesome. And it's so great to share it with other people. But my passion is teaching. And so while I learned a lot in this class and I really got excited about some new recipes and some new ingredients, I'm not just going to drop everything and make my life completely non-processed, completely plant-based. Just because that's not my passion, I don't have the time for it. So right now, I am a vegetarian. I eat all my lovely veggies. I love them. And really, if I am what I eat, I am an apple. Thank you.